It is a new day in the Isle. It is about 3 days after the storm that swept the island. Many things haven't actually came back to, where the storm hit. But some small dromaeosaurs have come and decided to peek around and see what's left. Like this small dromaeosaurus, it is like Velociraptor, but bigger and stronger, and was also found in North America. This dromaeosaurus is a decently sized one. It sees the remnants of the pond. After the storm, all the water was blown out of it. He goes in to try to get a drink, but there's nothing, not even a droplet. All it is wet sand. So he decides to back up and go take his chances at hunting. But what could he hunt? He's a small dromaeosaurus, and he's by himself. Well, he could always go for the hunt of a giant hadrosaur, but again, he is by himself. A Parasaurolophus or something like that could easily overpower him and take his life. A juvenile? No. Be protected. He goes and walks to find more prey. Over by the raptor's nest, the fallen tree has actually provided food for some herbivores. A Pachycephalosaurus comes to eat. He munches down on these leaves. It is because, they're food. Food is hard to come by in the Isle. He munches down. He's fulfilled, but he is in the raptor nest. He might as well leave. Don't want to become a prey item. He does take a few bites before he leaves, but he runs off back into the brush. Where are we, you might ask? This is an unseen location. Well, this is the herbivore breeding grounds. It is amazing as the amount of leaves, all green, rich with nutrients and fibers. But, you see, they're all in the brush right now, and something here is looking for an easy snack. Quetzalcoatlus. You might be asking yourself, why isn't it, flying? Well, Quetzalcoatlus actually preferred to walk. It was about the speed of a giraffe and the size of one. He looks on into the brush and notices something moving. He notices hiding is a baby Apatosaurus. An easy kill, but it'd have to be fast. You have to come in, snatch it, and fly off. But it's not going to be easy as, he doesn't know where its parents are. They could be around the bush, they could be gone. But he decides to take the chance. He goes to walk up. The Apatosaurus is not that smart and does not actually notice him. He flies a little bit, landing over by the rock. He looks on and sees the baby Apato. He goes in, he uses his talons and snatches on to the baby Apato. He drags the Apato to the grasslands and starts lifting it up until he drops the Apato, killing it instantly. The Quetzal, knowing how rare a kill like this, decides to pick it up and take it to its nest. But he could always bury it in he can always bury it in the dirt. So he decides to pick at it and start eating the dead Apado. This is actually quite interesting. Toxin, the Stegosaurus, seems to be by himself in the forest. But why? Why would he be by himself? Well, it seems he was lost. He got lost and he can't find his herd. Which means he's very open for killing prey. A Dryptosaurus seems to be looking on at the prey. He knows he could probably kill it, so he decides to make his move. He runs up, biting down on Toxin's right shoulder blade. Responding to it, Toxin hits him with his Stegomizer. The Dryptosaurus taking the hit, but not well. The Dryptosaurus starts to bleed. It's not good. He does seem to be okay. But Toxin seems to have a little bit of blood on where he was attacked. He decides to go up, showing that he is the dominant one out of the two of them. The Dryptosaurus decides to leap and jump onto the neck. But Toxin cannot counteract this as he does not have anything to do. The Drypto goes in, but Toxin takes the opportunity to knock him down and stomp on him a couple times, deepening the wound on his neck. The Dryptosaurus knows that if he does not take this kill, then he will for sure be dead. But Toxin makes sure that he goes. So the Dryptosaurus goes and backs off, knowing he will not be able to survive the rest of this duel. Toxin, with now a little bit of scarring on the side of him, also decides to walk off. Maybe find some food or his herd. The Dryptosaurus's wounds are taking it. Might not die, but it is very weakened. It probably couldn't even take on a Parasaurolophus battle, or maybe even a galley. He walks, stumbling every now and then, but his troubles are not over, because a predator sees him as an option for food. The Dromaeosaurus looks on at the prey, seeing he is very weakened, decides now or never. He leaps and just makes it on to the Dromaeosaurus's back. The Dryptosaurus ends up knocking off the Dromaeosaurus, but the Dromaeosaurus has made a wound. It's no great a start to hit, but it is making it lose more blood. The Dromaeosaurus notices this and decides now it's its perfect time to go and jump on its neck and get the kill. He leaps again, finally making it onto the neck. He scratches and claws at it. The Dryptosaurus now knows it could be over for him. He tries to move it, but he ends up doing it. He ends up sending the Dromaeosaurus down. But its wound is now way more worse. He tries to run, but he is outrunning a raptor. They are known for their speed. the Dromaeosaurus ends up getting on the Dryptosaurus's back. The Dryptosaurus manages to fend it off, but is ended up knocked down to the ground. The Dromaeosaurus takes this opportunity and pounces. The Dromaeosaurus now officially has a meal to eat. It needs to fend this thing off from scavengers, but it will be able to eat a meal for the first time in about a month. The Giga eventually stumbles upon a little area that he could call home, but this isn't his territory. This is a little friend of ours. The Giga looks on as he sees the big one in the brush. The big one. You know who he is. The biggest carnivore on the island. He's a Spinosaurus. The biggest carnivorous dinosaur, or heck, thing to walk the earth. He looks at the Giga, knowing that this is a territorial dispute. But he is weaker than the Giga, as, again, he is not built for eating meat or hunting. He's a fish eater, but he can stand his ground. He gets in position. The Giga as well. The Giga bites down on the neck of the Spino, but the Spino retaliates by sending it back. The Spino and the Giga are ready for a battle. The Giga charges him first, biting down on the Spino's neck. The Spino retaliates by giving another bite on the Giga's arm this time. The Giga knows that it was a weak spot. But the Spino, the big one, is guaranteed gonna win, hopefully. The Spino gets a snout bite, but the Giga knocks it back. The Spino gets up. The Giga goes for another one, but the Spino reflects it and goes in for another bite. The Giga gets another bite on its leg this time. The big one scratches and claws its eye. The Spino walks back, making sure that it is. But the Giga is not done. It is bleeding, yes, but it wants this win, and it wants this territory. They end up clashing. The two Dimetrodons in the brush are amazed by two big carnivores fighting. The two biggest. The Giga is ended up knocked back. The Spino goes in and throws down the Giga. The Spino backs up. The Giga knows he's probably going to lose this battle. The Spino gives him a final snout throw into the brush, and the Giga runs off. The Spinosaurus, the big one, has officially secured its territory back. It digs in the sand, making sure everything's good. But then he remembers this is the raptor territory, and he should not be here. Even though the Giga is strong and the Spino is strong, they're no match for a Velociraptor pack. He runs off back into the swamp areas. The Giga comes back after the battle to see if there's anything he can eat. But as you can see, the Giga is very wounded. He does not seem to be the best right now. He looks on and decides it's not his territory. He should not be here before things can get dirty and he dies. He walks back, but not before taking a little bit of a drink at a little bit of a pond. He runs off back into the brush to where he'll stay for weeks on end to hopefully heal up from his wounds and then come back and show that he is the alpha predator of this island. Well, Gray was actually here the entire time as she was watching over the eggs. She watched as the Giga was destroyed by the Spinosaurus. But she's now happy that her fellow packmates have came back from their hunting trip. Blue is the second. She runs back to her sleeping area because she is tired. She goes for a little rest. Followed by Green, who jumps right into the sand pit and goes to sleep in his area as he is again very tired. But Tango goes and comforts his mate, making sure she's okay and making sure the eggs are fine. But he notices one egg is moving. Small movements, actually, but movements anyway. He looks, but then Gray moves him to check on the eggs herself. Tango looks on as one of them starts to crack. Out from the egg pops a tiny Utah raptor. Gray nuzzles it as it's taking her pattern, but more of her father's colors. As a female Utah raptor. The Tango comforts it, giving it small head pats. The baby is, very intrigued and interested. It starts to take its first steps, but is nuzzled back into the nest by Gray. It will be a very hard burden for the first few days or weeks. But eventually, as it gets to about half its full size, it will be starting to hunt. Green is the first one to also go to check out what is happening. He sees a little glimpse of it, but Tango pushes him back. After all, Green is not the father. The next one is Swamp. Swamp is allowed in as she is the fellow female and will also be helping looking after this little hatchling. She goes in to check. She sniffs it and gives it this. Tango also sniffs, giving it the sniff of approval, even though it's his own. Orange, Swamp, or Orange, Green, and Blue all have to look on as Swamp and Gray and Tango get to play and move around with the little hatchling. The little hatchling, which we will name Tiny for now, is playing in the small gravel or sand, as it is very interesting, as it is very easy to spread apart. But she is also hungry, as she will have to eat some food. Thankfully, Tango had hunted something for them. But a velociraptor wants this kill and will do nothing to get it. The velociraptor runs out into the it sees the dead Camarasaurus, the sleeping Green, who actually backs off because he's eaten and Tango, who's keeping watch over Tiny. This small velociraptor starts biting down on the Camarasaurus's neck. But Gray, or Swamp, comes in, killing it, followed by Green, getting its neck. Any dinosaur here is seen as a threat by these Utahraptors. So, they do what had to be done. The Velociraptor is dead. But it was a threat. It was looking to kill Tiny. But now, Swamp has a meal to eat. The big one ends up making it to its nest, where his mate, Croco, is. The big one walks over to Croco and sees that actually the nest is looking pretty good. Croco falls over. She is very tired. She ends up getting up, falling over. She digs around in the mush area and ends up making a small incubation area for eggs. Usually Spinosaurus would lay their eggs in riverbeds, but because of the lack of riverbeds, they will have to lay their eggs, like most dinosaurs, in a small patch of area protected by them. These Spinos are very uncomfortable in their environment. They are not jungle animals, like I said. They are water dinosaurs. They are not built for hunting. They are built for hunting fish. But they do seem to be enjoying the life of jungle, as they will come back in the winter, hopefully. Winter is, again, a deadly time in the dinosaur period of